The restaurant shimmered with soft amber light, the kind that made crystal glasses glow and silverware sparkle. My birthday dinner was supposed to be a celebration, a rare moment when my family gathered without tension, and for a brief second, I let myself believe it would be just that, a night filled with warmth. Then my sister rose from her chair. Her hand trembled as she tapped her fork against her glass, calling for silence. Standing at her side, my husband wore a grin that made my stomach tighten. It was the look of a man who thought he had already won. "I have something to share," she announced, her voice trembling with feigned shyness. "I'm pregnant." The words dropped like stones into water, sending ripples of gasps and clattering silverware around the table. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, my father muttered a curse, and every pair of eyes swung toward me, waiting for the collapse, the outburst, the scene they expected me to make. My sister's eyes slid smugly toward my husband, who placed a proud hand on her shoulder as if to confirm the betrayal. But instead of breaking, I lifted my glass. My hand didn't shake. My voice was soft, even smooth. "Congratulations," I said. Their smiles faltered at the calmness in my tone. "But before we toast, I think I should share something too." The room went still. I set my glass down and reached for my purse. From it, I drew a slim envelope with a hospital's logo etched across the corner. I pushed it across the table until it sat before my husband. He froze, his grin vanishing as he recognized it. "You remember last month?" I asked, my words cutting through the silence. "The fertility test. The one you told me was just routine." Gasps spread like wildfire through the room. My sister stiffened, her knuckles whitening around her glass. He didn't touch the envelope. His skin turned pale. So I leaned forward, tore it open, and read it myself. "Test results," I said clearly. "0 motile sperm detected. Diagnosis: infertility." The air shattered with the weight of those words. My husband's face crumbled. My sister's lips parted in disbelief, her hand flying to cover her stomach. Around us, chairs shifted, relatives exchanged horrified looks, and silence pressed down heavier than stone. I raised my glass again, fixing my gaze on the two of them. "So," I said smoothly, "congratulations, sister. But you might want to figure out who the father really is." The room erupted. My aunt let out a gasp so loud it toppled her wine glass, staining the tablecloth crimson. My cousin whispered something sharp under her breath. Even my father, usually unmoved by drama, shoved his chair back with a scrape that cut through the noise. My mother's eyes, sharp as knives, turned to my sister. "You mean to tell us," she hissed, "that you announced a pregnancy at your sister's birthday dinner, and it isn't even his child?" My sister's face crumpled. She covered it with her hands, her diamond ring flashing under the light like a cruel joke. My uncle, never one to filter his thoughts, leaned forward and said flatly, "So who's the father? Or are there options?" Silence swallowed the table whole. My husband finally shoved his chair back, muttering, "I can't do this," before storming toward the door. My sister stumbled after him, streaks of ruined makeup trailing down her cheeks. Not one person rose to comfort her. Not one voice called her back. They had come expecting to watch me shatter, but it was they who left in disgrace. I remained standing, glass still raised, scanning the stunned faces that turned toward me. For once, their eyes didn't hold pity or dismissal. They held respect. "To family," I said, my tone calm, almost serene. "To the ones who stay true, and to the ones who finally reveal who they really are." A few hesitant clinks echoed back, glasses raised in shaky unison. And as I stood there, smiling for the first time that evening, I knew I hadn't just endured their betrayal. I had turned it into their undoing. One of her co-workers, emboldened by the swirl of rumors, finally admitted what many had quietly suspected all along. My sister had been secretly seeing a married manager from her office. Then came the evidence. Text messages leaked, photos circulated, and the polished image she had tried so hard to maintain turned to ash. Her fiancé, my husband, tried at first to deny and deflect, but when the proof was undeniable, he packed his things and disappeared. The scandal reached his workplace too. His carefully crafted reputation collapsed, and he was swiftly demoted. The man who once swaggered so proudly around our family table could no longer even lift his eyes to meet anyone's. My sister, desperate, tried to rewrite the narrative. She accused me of faking the fertility test, claimed it was all some elaborate revenge plot. But her words carried no weight. The clinic verified the documents. The man she had been seeing confessed when his wife confronted him, and that confrontation set off a brutal divorce that dragged everyone into its mud. By the time her baby shower came around, not a soul wanted to be seen there. She had become the very scandal she thought would destroy me. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't lash out. I didn't even speak. My silence said more than any sharp words could. People noticed. The same neighbors and relatives who once looked down on me began nodding quietly in respect. They had watched me stand firm in the face of betrayal, while she and my ex drowned in the ruins of their arrogance. I'll never forget one evening when I walked past the old family restaurant. There she was, alone, her belly round, her eyes hollow, staring at the floor while the whispers swirled around her. Our eyes met briefly, and then I kept walking. There was no need to say a word. She already understood. That toast I raised at my birthday wasn't just a moment. It had been a warning. In the days after, the silence following my toast still echoed in my ears. I had thought the fallout would happen quietly, tucked away behind closed doors. I underestimated just how loud the chaos would be once the truth was free. What she thought would humiliate me became her curse. Once the fertility test revealed my husband's infertility, questions poured in like a flood. If the child wasn't his, then whose was it? Our relatives whispered, our friends speculated. Even our own parents demanded answers she couldn't give. Within a week, her smug confidence melted into trembling hands and tearful denials. Lies, though, rot quickly, and hers collapsed the moment her lover was exposed. He didn't escape unscathed either. The fertility test I had revealed was one he had begged me to keep secret, ashamed of what it said about him. Now, that shame had become public knowledge. His pride shattered, his mask slipped, and the community saw him for what he was. Not just a man who betrayed his wife, but a man who betrayed himself. Friends stopped answering. Business partners distanced themselves. The unshakable confidence he once wore like armor drained away until he was nothing but a hollow figure. A ghost of the man who thought he could control the room that night. For me, things shifted. The same relatives who once dismissed me now looked at me differently. Friends who had only tolerated me before began to show quiet admiration. They saw I hadn't been caught off guard. I had been ready. I hadn't broken under betrayal. I had risen above it, calm and sharp, wielding nothing but the truth. A year later, everything looked different. My sister was raising her child alone. Her lover had abandoned her. My former husband divorced her. The mansion she once flaunted had been sold off to cover her debts. My ex was ruined, bankrupt in spirit and in business. But me? I rebuilt. Slowly, deliberately, on my own terms. I built a new career, found a new circle of people who respected me, and eventually, I found love again, real love, rooted in honesty and mutual respect. When people whispered now, it wasn't about me. It was about them. The betrayers, the liars, the ones who thought they could use me as the backdrop for their schemes. They became the cautionary tale. And the lesson was clear. The most powerful revenge isn't loud. It isn't a slap, or a scream, or a dramatic storming out. It's a quiet toast, raised with calm certainty, where truth is the wine and betrayal is the hangover they'll never recover from. So tell me, was my revenge perfectly justified? Or should the storm have torn through harder? Leave your verdict below. If you crave justice, share the story with someone who needs its fire. Because here, betrayals don't sleep. They always circle back. Masks crack. Secrets spill. And every betrayal is answered.